Hey nerds, Sage is here. Now we're gonna be looking over a tier list that I got sent, but for once it isn't the other wiki's tier list, which for some reason always makes me take a second look and go, huh? But I've been sent that so many times in the past few weeks, like people going, "Did you see the new wiki tier list? Did you see it? Did you see how XYZ is not correct?" So it's just kind of confusing to me when it comes to tier lists. But this time today, I got sent this one from Game Press, and Game Press, I have to say, does a fantastic job at laying out how they do their tier list and how they present it. Not only that, but now they have a new way of just clicking on certain units, getting explanations of why this is and how it works. And unlike, certain other tier lists, this one is probably pretty much dead on with how I view the game as it is right now when it comes to units, when it comes to, actual character rosters. But the thing I need to really tell you guys again and again and again when it comes to sending me these things is tier lists, when it comes down to it, is just opinion based, and more than not, a lot of these characters will suffice you no matter what. They'll be fine. You don't have to worry about it. If you can get them high enough and give them great skills, they will do just fine. But I just wanted to look this over and give you a bit of a better example of, wow, this is crazy stuff. So, of course, Zelgius would end up at the top tier there because he's essentially Black Knight, but better. More defense, more resistance, slightly less, I believe it was either attack or speed, and he just does it really well. And Armor Emblem entirely has come a long way since then. Just to point them out, Tharja, Armored Tharja, Winter Tharja, she has defense and resistance. She's basically, in a sense, Magical Jacob over there. In case you couldn't tell, she has a slight disadvantage against blue units and things like that, while Jacob just kind of has disadvantage against, certain weapons. But when people send me these lists, I always look at them and go, "Hey, what's going on?" But the funniest thing I can think of is just looking at it and looking at what characters from the winter event came out and where they placed and how crazy that is that they've been placed where they are now. You can kind of see it. Tharja's right over there. Crom and Lissa are, of course, quite high up there as well in Tier 2, and then Robin's over there in Tier 2 as well. And this just shows you the kind of balance that's been going on, that the power creep is, in fact, very, very real. Right now, Blue Tome units don't really have too much of a standout. I kind of disagree a little bit there, but, honestly, all of those units right there that are listed are insanely powerful. And again, before anyone starts jumping the gun and going, "What? Reinhardt's not top tier?" Be aware that this is inheritance list and not, based around certain emblem teams, horse emblem teams and things like that. But Hector, amazingly, is still very much at the top, and I really agree with that because as a unit, he is still incredibly strong. And that says a lot about his weapon, his combination of passives, at least, with distant counter, and just his straight-up powerful abilities that he can have. Getting rid of quick riposte really allows him to do a lot more, and having that included in his weapon is just something that continues to astound me. Now, Jacob, and we'll talk about Noe in a second, and other dragon units. In case you didn't notice, dragon units have really pushed the bar here. They've become quite high up on the list, and there's a reason for that. But Jacob, you'll notice he's actually in Tier 1 now, and that's mostly because, as an armored character, he doesn't have too much to worry about when it comes to actually taking attacks, especially with his stat spread. He has decent defense and resistance. Not only that, but if you give him something like, I believe it is, good lord, Bold Fighter, that's what I'm thinking about, and give him a Brave Bow, he can now quad no matter what. As long as he's initiating, it's a quad. And that's ridiculous. That just shows you how much Armor Emblem has stepped up their game recently. I'm hoping that maybe we'll get some more abilities for, Armor Emblem, get them going up to rank 1. I'm kidding, but, it just boggles my mind that this is something that's happening. Is that Jacob, a character that I didn't really think, he was rank 2 for me, but then Bold Fighter came out, and I use him as the initiation for almost anything now. When I'm using my Armor Emblem team, he's the first to go up there and deal massive damage, do a lot of damage. Bold Fighter decreases and, all of that fun stuff. And honestly, this is just, looking at this is terrifying. But you might be wondering why Noe, Young Tiki, and Faye are actually up here now. It's mostly because of their, new refined skills. Like, someone was actually boggled by this. They were like, why is Noe top tier? And it's like, because she has the girth. Don't want to ever use that for Noe again. And, attack, as well as some other advantages with her weapon now that just targeted strikes that hit against specific stats now, instead of just being resistance-based like all other breath attacks. This means that she has much more flexibility. She is essentially what, what my Fjorm is, my plus 10 Fjorm, but she can do it much better, which is a sad fact for a lot of things. But people keep sending me things and going, why is this list not, as good as it could be, and blah, 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 blah. But, what the most damning situation here is? We're going to scroll down slowly. Oh, also, Elise is over here at Tier 2, Rank 2. And that's because, well, I did a video earlier this morning about it and how Pain and Savage Blow just really can devastate things. Well, add to the fact that Elise has an actual, stat pool to do damage and do things like that, giving her, Wrathful Staff and, Dazzling Staff on her weapon just makes her into a monster all alone by herself. Lost in thoughts. Hey, look, there's Oliver. He's down there at rank 5. Yep, that seems about right. Yep, unfortunately, when it comes to our good friend Oliver, he can be something of a Raven Tome user. I mean, a lot of people were asking me if he's any use outside of what he has. It's just simply put that his stats are a little bit mixed-matched, and as a unit in his entire, out of the entire Blue Tome list, you could probably do better with certain characters, but you could make him into a really decent Raven Tome unit. He has the resistance to really deal with other Tome units that might be, a problem. More reds, but unfortunately red Tome units can tend to be on the downside. And of course, down there way at the bottom are our good friends Odin. You may notice that Henry's actually tier 5, which is, kind of good. But there's Fear, Navarre, or Navere, whatever you want to call him. Odin, there's all of our horse units, and Narcian. Narcian's a little bit odd to see here. I think he might be a little bit higher myself, but, and then there's Jacob and Matthew, poor fellas. Jafar's gotten a lot better. I don't really see him as being too much of a problem. Just, it really requires you to refine his skill list a lot more, but all in all, when it comes to tier lists, and when it comes to sending me these, this one doesn't really make me do a double take. It kind of makes me just go, oh, hey, well, I kind of agree with that. And go, yeah. Again, though, before anyone points out certain things like, oh, man, why is Leo down there, tier 4, or Noe, which Noe, why is she at tier 3? Remember, this does not include emblem teams. This does not include flyer teams, cavalier teams, armored teams. But if you do happen to have these characters available to you, you probably will find yourself pretty happy. But all in all, this is probably one of the best tier lists I've seen. And if you ever want to, just go check out their whole website on this, and there's little things that you can click on. They give you very detailed information on most characters and why they are up here on this list and everything like that. But at least we don't have Est up there and Defense Ploy. Oh boy, do you guys remember when Defense Ploy was a thing? Christ, that was terrible. It was one of the worst things out there. Whew. And now, thankfully, Est and Fjorm are kind of where they need to be. As much as I love Fjorm and I can make her great, you can make any unit great, she's probably rank 3 about there. Mostly just seems to be funny because, both legendary quote-unquote heroes seem to be stuck in this little mud pit here where they're just like, oh, we're legendary! What do we, they're good, just kind of But yeah, I never thought I'd see the day where Jacob would be up there, and little Faye herself as well, but, by which I mean, that Faye, not the other Faye. So, anyways, Christ, well, there you guys go. That's my opinion on a tier list that's actually really, really good. So, yeah, stop sending me these things. Or, just don't worry about it. That's the other option, simply put. Anyways, yeah, that's about it, guys. Have a great day. Tonight we'll have Tempest Trials. We'll be going over the seals that are available there, and I hope you're as excited as I am, because there's a lot more stuff to look forward to. Anyways, catch you nerds later. Thanks for watching.